Let's move on now to the player the New York Jets need to break out, and that is Breece Hall. We already know he had a phenomenal start to his rookie year, but unfortunately suffered an ACL injury that took him out all last year. But he is the player that the Jets really need to rely on. Even with Aaron Rodgers coming over and all these other players coming over, he's the guy I think that their season is going to hinge around. And Ryan and I are going to break down why we feel like that here in a second. But if you have not already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you can see more New York Jets content. Ryan and I have a lot more content coming out as we enter the preseason and regular season, which also includes weekly game predictions. So be sure to tune in for all of our Jets predictions by subscribing and ringing that bell. And Ryan, why is, out of all the acquisitions and news that came out from the Jets this offseason, why is Breece Hall the guy that they need to have a breakout season?
Yeah, well, so I'll start off. I think you kind of touched on this in the intro, but I don't know if I'd classify it as a breakout season because he kind of burst onto the scene last year. I just think they need him to prove that he can still do that, right, on an every game basis. So for me, they didn't really take a lot of steps to really improve this offensive line. Right, like I think they signed a couple guys in free agency, and I think they drafted some depth pieces. But it's still, as a whole, just not an extremely solid unit. And if Breece Hall can come back and be as explosive as he was in the first 6 games, I believe, of the year, that I think is going to have a really nice effect on the opposing defenses, right? Because if they're a one-trick pony and they're letting pass rushers just pin their ears back and run after Aaron Rodgers all the time, the 39-year-old quarterback is not going to be having fun back there, right? Because even if he just gets hit a couple times, let alone sacked, that starts to add up pretty quickly. And we kind of saw that a little bit last year. Zach Wilson, Mike White, and then actually I think Joe Flacco got hit a pretty good amount.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And so to me, I think if they can establish a solid run game, it'll keep defenses honest. It will make sure that they don't just let teams' pass rushers get 40 snaps a game just running after Aaron Rodgers. Because even if they get him 4 times, right, like 1 out of 10, that's not a good recipe for success long term.
Absolutely. Well, and even then, you don't even want to risk getting him hurt at all, especially with how big these guys are. But the biggest thing for me is they have Garrett Wilson, and we know exactly. I mean, he's going to be a top 20 receiver in the league, if not even higher. And then you are bringing over consistent guys like Alan Lazard, TJ Uzoma is already there at tight end. Randall Cobb is also joined as well. And so you do have this receiver set where you're very consistent. I'm sure that there's other guys that I might have already missed. But then to have that consistent running game where it is first down and having a running back like Breece Hall, you do need to have an offensive line. And so that I remember we were honestly even debating back and forth before we picked this player going live on whether it should just be the offensive line as a whole because you can have the best running back, but if you have you and I blocking, there's no chance of that person's getting to the line of scrimmage. So that is a big factor to play, but I think having a more experienced quarterback, a much more experienced quarterback, is going to help out hugely just in general. But he can't do it all. Aaron Rodgers is not the guy from a couple of years ago where he can lead a team to the NFC Championship game and lose. And so they need a running back like Breece Hall to take the team to the next level. He through 7 games, he only started in 2 of them, and he had 463 yards with 4 touchdowns. He easily, I think, would have been a 1,000-yard rusher because he would have been turned into the starting running back in a lot more carries, especially with how awful that offense was with Zach Wilson back there. And that to me alone, I think, barring injury, I think he's got 1,000 yards almost locked up now. Not too many running backs can do that. And he can be and he probably his biggest thing though now with bringing Rodgers over is his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He also had 19 receptions for 218 yards and 1 touchdown. That's only going to increase more with Rodgers back there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I totally lost my train of thought. Also, if Aaron Rodgers comes in and doesn't play well, this offense is middling to average, right? The way that they're going to want to win games is the knockdown, drag out, brawl it out type of style with that defense. Yeah. And I think Breece Hall will feast in scenarios like that. So,
well, and another thing too, going back to my point, I was curious as I was saying that I want to look out the stats specifically for it, but Rodgers loves doing check down passes if no one's open downfield. Aaron Jones last year, 59 receptions, 395 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Yeah. And then A.J. Dillon, 28 receptions. And I believe Rodgers played in every game. And so he did miss a little bit of time in like the second half of the Eagles game. But in general, though, he played every single game. So he loves checking down running backs and having a running back like Breece Hall who can, one, run well in between the tackles and then also catch the ball. I think he's going to be one of the best things probably for him in his career and the Jets moving forward.
No, yeah, definitely. So let's go ahead and wrap up Breece Hall's breakout season recap there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you think of Breece Hall going into the 2023 season. If you haven't, we'll see you guys next time.